I've taught over 1,000 Jiu-Jitsu students how to get better faster in a systemized way, helping them win more tournaments, get accused of sandbagging by training partners, and finally starting to enjoy their sessions instead of just getting through them. And the answer wasn't stuffing their head with more techniques and cramming it full of information. It was actually by thinking less whilst you're training. So in this video, I teach you the exact same session framework that allows you to reduce the typical overwhelm you experience during a training round, usually with that blank brain feeling, by doing more of the thinking outside of your training session and turning them into skill building machines. So to start, we have to set an intention for our training session that only the top performers and athletes in the world happen to do. I grew up with very few examples of high achievers in my life. I didn't really have anybody to model for their examples, especially when it came to setting goals and achieving cool things. Thankfully, however, we weren't born in the 19th century, and there's a little thing called YouTube to learn off people we may never even meet, including what you and I are doing right now. I knew I wanted to achieve great things, but I had absolutely no idea how to get there. And so I dove onto YouTube, typed in mindset, goal setting, and anything I could get my hands on, and I pretty much listened to everybody. And the key theme that they all spoke about in their unique and different and interesting ways, whether they were setting up to talk before tens of thousands of people, or they were just simply getting some tasks done for the day, was setting an intention before they committed to any action. They all referenced some version of visualizing themselves doing the task before they'd even get it started. And usually this process was seeing themselves do it flawlessly, without error, and in a positive light. Then I started to see the same things represented in world champions in all these different sports. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps. So I tried it out, and the results were astounding. When I set a correct intention of me moving flawlessly, flowing, and smooth in my jiu-jitsu sessions, I ended up hitting moves that I didn't think I knew, and with relative ease. I was able to solve problems much faster and react with correct timing and solutions to the problems my training partners were presenting me, all by using this exact same process. Just after you finish your drive to training and you've parked the car, you're ready to go in, take 5 minutes. It just has to be one song. I usually do this to music, and so it's usually to one song, whether that be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. I like to do 5 minutes because that's the song that I use. And just close your eyes and see yourself moving through the positions that you usually go through with success, with ease, with proficiency, with a high degree of technical skill, without relying on explosivity, speed, strength, strain, without getting exhausted. You're still probably going to get tired in these rounds, but see yourself doing things as if you were a professional. Try and impart as many sensory cues as possible. Feel what it's going to feel like. See what it's going to look like. I'm going to omit taste and smell because that's fucking weird, and it's jiu-jitsu and it smells disgusting, and we don't need to go into taste. But anyway, really get with this process and see yourself doing things like you possibly have never done them before, and see how it works. You might be surprised at how effective this process is right before you get into a session. Because let's be honest, you're driving, you're rushing, you're going through traffic, you've got all this shit you're dealing with in your work life and your family life, and then you train in that exact same capacity. Rushed, stressed, freaking out. Imagine if you just took 5 minutes to change that to the opposites and see how you go. But what about the actual session itself? Well, I'm glad you asked. This next piece is absolutely essential for reducing the analysis by paralysis that you usually experience during a training round, and thinking less by limiting what can actually happen in your rounds. I know you guys are just like me, and that means you're at minimum in the middle to upper end of the spectrum for autism or ADD. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be watching a YouTube video about jiu-jitsu in the background of you eating. The reason I know this is because I'm the exact same. And if I don't plan what I'm going to do for the day, it's very likely that halfway watching through a video, a thought will pop into my mind that I need to mow the lawns or do the laundry or fix something in my house. And you best believe there's going to be a lot of unfinished tasks, a lot of randomness, and a fair bit of chaos. And without a plan, your jiu-jitsu is the exact same. One round might be all passing. The next round might be all guard. The following round might be entirely spent underneath Keisugatami from that brown belt that you fucking despise because that's that's all he does. No key theme, no plan, and so your session just becomes random and all over the place. Instead of that, for the first 2 or 3 rounds of your session, you're just going to pick one position to work on. Ideally, it's something that you need to be working on instead of what you want to be working on, because let's be honest, most of you guys are just chasing donuts and not eating your vegetables. Your vegetables are things like pin escapes, learning how to generate offense from those pin escapes, pinning people, and then worrying about submissions. Don't just go for the submissions. You're going to plateau your progress. It's not going to work. And if you really have no idea what your needs are and you want someone to analyze what they are for you and show you how to move forwards, link is going to be in the description below for me to take you through that. Let's say you did know exactly what you needed to work on and your bottom half guard is absolute rubbish. Start your sessions by pulling into bottom half guard, and as soon as you sweep your training partner, get to some sort of re-guard like an Ashigarami, submit them or get submitted, go right back to the beginning and start again. Don't get bored, don't get distracted, stick with it, trust me. Doing this will not only reduce the amount of thinking that you have to do during a session because you're reducing the randomness and the chaos, you're actually going to quadruple the amount of time you spend in that position, which dramatically increases the chance that you learn something very valuable, or at the very least, point you in the correct direction of what you need to research for your next session. By the end of the week, spending that much time in one position, you can accomplish what most people struggle to develop in years of training in just 1 week. Which leads me to the final part of thinking less in your session planning. And arguably, it's the most important because it's going to allow you to build the most momentum in your training that'll leave you wondering what the fuck you were doing beforehand. When I was playing under 20s for the Rabbitohs, we would sit down every Tuesday afternoon before our training session and get utterly fucking roasted in a film session for the things that we did really poorly, with a sprinkling of what we did correct also included, but usually at the very end. And as long as you didn't take the roasting too seriously, it actually gave you really valuable data and feedback to start to improve the way that you operated on the field, because you weren't trying to do it whilst playing when your lungs are hanging out of your ass, you've got calf cramps, you're waiting for the trainer to give you a Gatorade whilst you're about to run into a gigantic refrigerator-sized Samoan individual for the 20th time. The reason this was so effective is because we could actually analyze what was going on without all that noise happening at the same time. We could analyze how to improve the next time we hit the field and double down on the things that we were doing well by removing the things that we weren't doing so well. Try to do this too much whilst you're actually within a round, and it's just going to complicate the process, which again is only going to lead you to that blank brain feeling, overwhelm, and analysis by paralysis. And you're not effective when you're in that mindset. So when you finish your training session, after following your plan that you set out before with an intention, write down as much shit as you can from the session. Whether it's voice notes, physical pen to paper, notes on your phone, it doesn't matter what it is. Try and capture as much information as you can. Then give it a couple hours, let your heart rate come back down, start to settle into the evening or whatever you're doing, or even wait till the next morning and devise how you're going to use that information to improve your next session. Maybe your half guard wasn't too bad, but you just didn't know what to do after knee levering your opponent. Or maybe your butterfly half game needed some work on the leg entries that you were trying to use. That now becomes your new plan to work on in your next session. So it's not just hitting knee levers from half guard, it's what to do after. It's not just getting into butterfly half, but actually refining the leg entries that you are reliable with to make sure that you have more success. Before you know it, you'll start to be gathering up all the pieces and develop a nice little ecosystem of sequences you can hit reliably every single session. And you can build upon them because you're analyzing what's going wrong or what's going well. You're planning ahead for that session and you're setting an intention that you're going to execute it in a very smooth and flowing style, which means you'll be thinking less, but getting more out of your sessions, because most of the thinking should be done around your session. Now that you know exactly how to plan your training sessions to maximize the time that you are spending on the mat, let's make sure you never fail to remember another move mid-round again. By clicking this video, I'll take you through it step by step.